Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your channel host GBHL James, and I'm going to be bringing you by myself again another week's edition of Speak Friend in Question. So I hope you enjoyed the last couple of weeks where we have had some guests instead of Jamie, and the reason why we haven't got that this week is because Jamie and I were pretty much dead certain that we were going to be able to do it together this week. However, unfortunately that didn't happen. On Thursday my boiler has broken, so we were supposed to be having a boiler man coming out who's actually ended up in hospital, which means that didn't end up happening, which is a shame. Is the reason why I'm sat here right now on a Sunday afternoon after being at a christening in a onesie. The shame, there is a lot of shame involved in this, but I'm wearing this because it's absolutely freezing in here, and Jane's gone down to Wales. I've got no idea how to work the gas fireplace, so yeah, it's cold in here. Jamie and I were supposed to be doing it that day, but problems with the boiler. And then on Friday, it was the first day where it's supposed to be an evening, where we were doing the Northwest Hobbit League, which is going to be based in Games Workshop in Altrincham. So a lot of the Greater Manchester-based players are going to be playing out of there, and I don't really want to talk about my experience early on in the day, although it wasn't a league game. If you've seen on the Facebook, I had a pretty traumatic experience involving my my Rohan suffering its heaviest defeat ever. I know, I'm absolutely devastated, and as I put in the Facebook post, luckily I didn't film that bad boy. So yeah. In fact, it's very hard for me to get on camera today. It was like getting back into the water after watching Jaws, you know, having to get back into the strategy battle gaming mode. But yeah, we are doing Speak Friend in Question, so it is me on my own. I know that a lot of you have missed Jamie, I've missed Jamie as well, but that's why we've not got a partner either, because me and Jamie haven't managed to meet up. So, okay, so our question number one, we've got Lucas Whitcroft White. He's put, hey guys, homing in for another Speak Friend question. Because I missed the last 2 weeks, I'm doing a double whammy of questions. Firstly, James, why did you not use the 3 Hunters Legolas in your 3 Hunters project? That's because I don't like the pose as much as the Breaking of the Fellowship. GBHL Jamie, he had 2 Breaking of the Fellowship Legolases, and he didn't have a 3 Hunters Legolas, and Legolas is his favourite character. So I said, listen, you know, I've got this 3 Hunters Legolas, this metal one. I don't like it as much as the Breaking of Fellowship one. Shall we swap? So that's what we did, and I'm glad I did that actually. It's Breaking of Fellowship models are beautiful to paint, absolutely beautiful. And you put, secondly, I'm building a High Elf army, and I wondered whether I should take Arwen mounted or use a High Elf Stormcaller for my magic aspect. I think I should use Arwen because she's got Nature's Wrath and can be mounted, but what do you think? Thank you for your opinions and views, and see you all next week. Well, Stormcallers are good, but when I'm thinking Stormcallers, I'm thinking more when you go for sort of the Wood Elf side of things, rather than High Elves. You don't tend to see High Elf Stormcallers that much, and there's probably a reason. I'm not going to go get my rule book, but you do see Arwen out and about. So I do think that getting an Arwen is worth it, and of course it's always not. I mean, this is just from just my opinion. But I think it's definitely better when you take a named character. That's just how I see it. So, and Arwen's pretty good. You know, she's cheap. Yes, she's vulnerable, but she does have that 5/6. If you've got her on a horse, you know, just like when you've got a wizard or a caster really of any kind, you know, it does mean that offensively she's going to be a bit more useful because you can try and get that 2 attacks and 4 on a knockdown and all that kind of thing. And Nature's Wrath's pretty good, pretty handy. So yeah, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say Arwen. And you put, thank you for your opinions and views. See you all next week. Okay, so next up we've got Andreas Fossheim Ora. I don't know how to say that last bit. What does that letter mean? Ura. Hi guys, Norwegian Viking again here. Hello Norwegian Viking. Been out of the loop due to illness, but watched every episode, and as you asked, liked every single one of them. Fantastic. This is really important, guys. When you're watching these videos, we say it at the end all the time. Maybe some of you don't make it to the end, and that's why we're not getting, you know, when we get 400, 500 views for a video, we tend to get about 10% of that as likes. So, so let's see a few more of you clicking that like button. If you're watching this and you're watching it through, give us a bit of support, give us that like. SBG here in Norway is going swimmingly. My club have started a Battle Companies League by the time you post this next video, with 3 players new to SBG in the fold. Well, that's great. Well done for supporting your Hobbit hobby, Andreas. Very good. I hope Jamie is back again, because the question is for him. Unfortunately, he's not. But if he is not, I hope someone can help in the comments, or James can help. I can help with this one, actually. So here's my question. When you did your Battle Companies, you had a bunch of cool scenarios not from the Battle Companies rules pack, original and community made. I have not found a link to these. Any chance you could publish the custom scenarios Jamie did for the Battle Companies video series? Okay, so what Jamie did a lot of when he was coming up with his was that he would use some of the old, a lot of the old source books. So I think the one that he really used quite a lot was the Scouring of the Shire, and he looked and he used some of those old scenarios and how they worked and built them in as a custom way into the Battle Companies. If you do want some of those sending to you, I don't see any reason why Jamie wouldn't. So if you send an email to ilovewargaming@gmail.com, that's our channel email, then we might be able to get those out to you. So let us know. I also saw that you did paperwork on the computer. I struggle with spreadsheets and stuff like that. And if you have a template for a spreadsheet, keeping track of that would be appreciated as well. I don't think there's any, I don't think it was like a template really. Pretty easy to make up yourself. You just put your characters' names on one side and all the things you've got to keep track of to the right of them. And you put, oh, it started snowing here again. Springtime on hold at the moment here in the cold north. All my best, Andreas. Well, thank you very much for your question. Joel, we've had really weird weather here in Manchester. I mean, no change there really, but you know, one second it's been absolutely smashing it down. I woke up one morning and it was glorious. I thought, oh, I'll take the bins out in my gym jams. And I'm there taking my bins out in my Batman gym jams, and next thing you know, it's hailstoning on me. It was absolutely crazy. And then it went sunny again when I went to go and do my outdoor fitness class. And then during the class again, just massive hailstones coming down. So it's been crazy here. Okay, so next up, our next question is from Rosato Sean. It's but thanks for another great Speak Friend question. No worries. This is just a shout out for any people looking to Hobbit hobby in Australia. There is a great Facebook that brings all the Aussies together, and we are about 500 strong at the moment. Facebook name is the Australian Lord of the Rings and Hobbit Community. If the GBHL is wondering, this will not take any people away from GBHL. It's just to create even more people in Australia and Australia the chance to get the games in. No, definitely not. I mean, I don't think anybody would think that. It's interesting because, of course, you know, the Great British Hobbit League and the Great British Hobbit League Facebook has become like an international kind of go-to point for discussion about Hobbit strategy battle game, especially in sort of social media sense, because of course you've got the One Ring as a forum for that kind of thing, or the TLA Last Alliance once upon a time. I'm not sure if that's still busy, but in terms of other leagues being out there, I think that's great. I think it's absolutely fantastic, and yeah, we'll certainly direct people there. So if there are any of you guys who are down there in the southern hemisphere towards Australia, New Zealand, that kind of way, there is the Australian Lord of the Rings and Hobbit Community Facebook. So go check that out, because then you can go and find some other strategy battle gamers in your area and get some games in. Next up, we've got Johnny Graham Beggs. He's put, hey guys, my questions for this week are, do you guys have any tips for painting faces on miniatures? That's the part I always seem to struggle with. Yeah, I could take you through how I do it, if you've got a second. So, the way that I paint a face, first of all, it's very important that when you apply your primer, that you don't put too much paint on, because you don't want to lose any of the detail in the face. So try and make sure that it's quite watered down. I've found that since I've been priming like Shadow and Flame primes, and he literally just waters down a little bit, well, waters his black paint ever so slightly, and he actually paints his primer on. I actually find that keeps more on the detail, which is quite cool. And then yes, what do I use? I use a kind of, it's the same kind of format to what I do with other painting. I use the darker flesh colour first of all. Mine might be dwarf flesh or something, I can't remember off the top of my head. rat skin flesh. I don't know. It's a darker flesh colour. So what I'll do again is very lightly. I'll put that over. I will probably do a second very light coat. So I'll water it down more again because you don't want to lose the detail. And I'll do a second coat because you want to make sure that the colour is flat when you do that. I then apply a wash, and that wash will be Agrax Earthshade. I then do the same colour again, but just not in the recesses. So the same flesh colour, and I'll mix the flesh colour 50-50 with Kislev flesh, which is a lighter colour, and then I'll start homing in on some of those areas which get highlighted. So you're talking like top of the forehead, nose, cheeks, chin, that kind of bit, and do that. And then I will again I will just take the Kislev flesh on its own and just mark out literally just those tiny little bits of highlights, like just their little dots and stuff, taps of the ears. And then I'll even, you know, do a little bit of a sharpty bone just to really sort of edge various bits. And then I've started doing eyes as well. Once that's done, also I've got a flesh wash which can be quite helpful. Reichland Flesh Shade, I think it is. That can be quite helpful for blending it together as well. And then with the eyes, literally just some white paint, very lightly, just stick it into the corner, and then when I'm happy that it's made contact, just dragging it slowly across. It's just trying to make sure that you've got as steady hand as possible, isn't it? And then once you've got that line, literally just a little black triangle right in the middle, is a good way to go. So I hope that helps. That's how I do it, but I'm sure other people have got other ways. I posted this question on the Facebook page, but I'm not sure you saw it. This is a beginner's rule question. What happens in the combat phase when you only have a few archers left on your side, but the opposing side has models with swords, spears, etc.? Thanks. What do you mean? Like when you're in combat, when you're actually fighting? They can still fight. I don't. Let me see. So, obviously a beginner's question, but I'm just trying to work out what it is that you actually mean. So what happens in the combat phase? So you mean you've got a few archers that are in combat against things with swords and spears and stuff. Well, they still get to fight. Like, they still get to fight normal. You just, if they've not got a spear, then a spear only means that you can spear support, and if you've got a sword, then I guess you can special strike and feint, but they still just fight as normal. You just do it as normal. If I've not quite understood your question, just get back to us next week. Anyway, I hope that helps, Johnny Graham Beggs. Next up we've got Ross Diggle. He's in Manchester. He's put Being Death. I couldn't watch last week's. Or do you mean with in the Games Workshop Altrincham? Yeah, some of it's hard to hear. Good to see it back to good production value. Don't tell Jane, she'll make you pay for not telling her earlier. This is reference Smaug. You won it in a GBHL raffle. Mind you, as a divorcee, I might not be the best for advice. Like I say, I'm going to leave that for Jane, because I don't want to stress her before the wedding. Not long now either, so... while we're talking about wedding, remember all those guys out there who know me, have shared a bevy with me, consider that I am a pal of theirs, you know, shared drinks at tournaments and stuff like that, then make sure that you get yourself to York on the 6th of June and get yourself into the church. It'd be lovely to see you. Okay, so next up we've got Akathon39. He's put, hi guys, thanks for answering my question last week. My first one will be, what do you think, plan, hope your next army will be to collect? I'm returning to Durin's Folk. I never did write a proper list for them, and I'm really into the theme at the moment. Okay, the next army that I will collect. Well, I think I've actually got everything that I really want at the moment. I guess you could count the fact that I'm thinking of getting more Rivendell Knights and stuff, and I'm picking up some Rivendell Knights from Awkward Battles from JT, along with things like Dol Amroth Knights and just some little bits and pieces. Not necessarily whole armies, but more sort of like little divisions, so that I've got like a little bit of something. I think it's quite nice if you've got like a war band of the things that you do like, because then you can put together sort of cool little themed armies, I think. You know, I do like the idea of doing like a Battle of Pelennor sort of cavalry themed army with Knight of the Pelennor and Sons of Vale and well, not necessarily Sons of Ale, even do Night of the Pelennor, loads of Rides of Rohan, do Dol Amroth Knights and Prince Imrahil and stuff like that. I think that would be quite cool. But yeah, to be fair, if anything is tempting me at the moment, it is collecting armies from other systems and sort of having that in mind. Not because I'm thinking about going away from the Hobbit hobby, but for Let's Try Tuesday, and you know, just for some other ideas that I've got. And one thing that is really tempting me is is putting together like a 40k army, because obviously it's a very popular game, and trying to get a few of those kind of showcase in there. It's a very, very different game to the Hobbit. I do like how strategic and stuff the Hobbit strategy battle game is, but I think doing a little bit of 40k would be quite a good thing. So I'm gonna check that out. Okay, so next up we've got Adrian Benito Ogaya. He's put, "Hello boys, I'm from Spain and I wanted to ask you if you can do a battle with Mirkwood Elves against Orcs of Moria, please. A greeting." You mean like the Battle of 5 armies? I think if you go and check through. So do you mean the new Mirkwood Elves or old Mirkwood Elves? Let us know. And by Orcs of Moria, do you mean all the new Gundabad stuff, or do you mean the sort of old Moria list? So let us know, and we might be able to point you in the direction of some of our older bat reps, because we've got lots of contests. But thanks very much for your suggestion. Next up we've got Dave Egan. Now I'm not going to read this out because Dave Egan is reposting something that he posted last week in the hope that Jamie would be reading it this week. But unfortunately he's not here, so I'm not going to repeat my answers and stuff. So we've got David Whittaker next. He's put, typing this before the bit where you read my question, but I'm sure you did a good job. What is the consensus on discounts when it comes to representing their dismounts? Sorry, what is the consensus on dismounts when it comes to representing their mounted counterpart in a tournament setting? I assume it's not too strict, with Sons of Ale not having dismounted versions and models like Eowyn being armed differently on foot. Basically, I asked because I've got a mounted Faramir with a shield, but the foot version of him drawing a sword would look a bit awkward if I popped a shield on. Would this be a problem? I figure the answer is probably going to be no, it's not a problem, but I'm not exactly full of investing questions this week. But you know, content in it. Thanks, David. Yeah, most people are quite relaxed about those kind of things, so right down to the point of, you know, like you put armour on Legolas, or you know, shields on Boromir and stuff like that. I mean, as long as you clear what the war gear is beforehand, I don't think too many people have got too much of a problem. And I've never had anybody have any problems with me using various things that I've used for Son of Ale dismounts, you know, because of course they don't have a dismounted foot model, so people do tend to be reasonably liberal. It's always just best to check with your tournament organiser first, as always. Okay, so thank you very much, David. And then you got another one. You put, had a thought, as a special guest in future, you could film / record a show over Skype with DCHL Devin. Just thought, and could help in bring a new crowd in for both channels. Oh, I'm not undressing here, by the way. My zip's come undone a bit. There we go. Yeah, that could be a good idea. I should have read through these questions before, and maybe we could have got him on this one. Since we don't have a special guest. Yeah, I mean, I think it would definitely benefit his channel. I think a lot of the guys who are on his channel are already subscribed to our channel, looking through the comments and stuff, but they might not be. So, and yeah, I do like their channel. I really enjoyed the seeing the spectacle of Smaug on the late town board and stuff. That was quite good. And yeah, all the best to those guys. I think that could be quite a good idea. I might do that at some point. Maybe if Jamie can't meet me next week, we'll do that. Okay, next up we've got Sam Gibbs. He's put, could you guys give a shout out to my Twitter page I've just set up? I know it's not quite the scaling of YouTube, but it would be great if you can help get the ball rolling for me. Cheers, and follow me on Twitter at the Hobbit Mini. So there you go, there's your shout out. Can everybody please follow on Twitter, if you are on Twitter, at the Hobbit Mini. Hope that helps, Sam Gibbs. Next up we got the left winger 84. Hi guys, keeping in the loop with another question. When a cavalry model charges an infantry model, it receives the extra attack and knocks to the ground. But what happens if that cavalry is then countercharged by another infantry model? But the cavalry model still wins the combat. Do all the infantry get knocked down and the cavalry get an extra attack? Yes. So cavalry model charges infantry model. He gets his +1 bonus, and if he wins the fight, that infantry is knocked to the ground. That cavalry model who's charged the infantry model gets countercharged by more infantry. Get completely surrounded. Okay, gets surrounded by infantry. Well, he's still got his +1 attack for charging because he's charged infantry, even though he's been countercharged. He's been countercharged by infantry. And if he wins the fight, they will all knock down. And of course, when they're knocked down, that means he gets to apply double strikes to them. So because he had 2 attacks, he can put double strike on 2 different models. So yeah, you're absolutely right there. And you put, P.S. I found that with my semi-fluffy Rohan army that Theodred works really well. His 3 might is awesome, and because he is a bit unusual, other players tend to focus on Aragorn or Aemma, leaving Theodred to deal out death and carnage. Yeah, he's okay. I mean, it's not like... So the reason why you don't see Theodrids and you don't see Theodens as much, unless you're taking sort of for fluffy reasons, isn't because they're terrible. You know, it's not because they're terrible, it's just because there are better choices for the competitive player. You know, there's a hierarchy, and we've mentioned this many times. You know, if you want to be, if you want to optimize, I'm not going to say if you want to be competitive, because you can be competitive with fluffy armies. That's not what I'm saying. So, but if you want to optimize your list, then your go-to characters are Erkenbrand, then Aemma, Knight of the Pelennor, Éowyn. You know, Éowyn, although she's, you know, a weaker profile, she's cheap, she brings cheap might, so she's good, she's lending another 5 in there. Then you've got your Marshal of the Riddermark, sorry, not Marshal of the Riddermark, you've got Eorl the Young, then Marshal of Riddermark, so there's a hierarchy, and Theoden and Theodred probably come just underneath, you know, that list that I've just given there. So it's not that they're rubbish, it's just that there are better things to pick. Thanks very much for that. Anyway, left winger. Next up we've got Pandemonium 1337. He's put, thanks for answering my second question on Tom Golbury, and of course you were right on me not going to tournaments a lot. When thinking about competitive play, so basically Pandemonium was theorising about, you know, well, how is it physically possible to break this list, and my point was, you know, it sounds like it was theoretical. You know, have you been to tournaments where you've seen this in play, and have you seen how it works when you play in scenarios against other people? But when thinking about competitive play, I tend to have to the death in mind. Yeah, listen, most people do. Everybody, especially when they first get into wargaming, people think, you know, well, what's going to happen? Like, what happens when the lines clash? You know, who would win? How can you beat that? You know, how does this beat that? And the game doesn't actually work like it's a skirmish game. And it's very scenario. So something that can win to the death, you know, might lose at something else. Although to death is a reasonably balanced one, minus the banner stuff. So if I went to a tournament, I would probably bring all mounted Mahud. That would be cool, and probably lose horribly to Thranduil or other forces that wreck cavalry. My question for this week is something DCHL Devin brought up in one of his videos on the DC Hobbit League channel. I'll go to that in a second. But in terms of all-mounted Mahud, Jay Clare is a player on our tournament scene, and he brought a beautifully painted, like, it's beautiful, I loved it very much, a beautiful painted all camel Mahud army to the league final, and he did very, very well with it. And you know, you say you'd lose horribly to forces that wreck cavalry. You say that, but it depends how you're playing and what you're playing, you know, what scenario you're playing, and it's learning to do that. So, you know, yeah, running into a bunch of Nature's Wrathing, you know, you got Thranduil and Stormcallers and stuff. You know, might not be amazing for your cavalry, But you know, if it's domination, you're going to try and avoid that. You're going to try and get to different bits, or you know, you might actually have an advantage because your troops are tougher to kill when it comes to combat. You know, and whereas wood elves are easier to kill, and it's all these little considerations. You know, it might be that you're up against monsters, and of course, monsters versus cavalry is awful, or can be if you play it that way. You know, but then it might be that you're playing reconnoiter, and you know they've got a couple of monsters, and you've got, you know, 20, 30 cavalry. So just remember, it doesn't work like that. So anyway, on to your actual question. He mentions that you can ally in Kardush the Firecaller into an army of Isengard that has Saruman and Grima. As soon as the game starts, you kill off an Orc banner bearer in base contact with Grima using Kardush's special rule. Since Grima is in base contact, he can pick up the banner, resulting in your army having an invincible banner for the rest of the game. If this occurred to you in a tournament, what would you say to your opponent? I would say that it is illegal. Characters cannot pick up other banners. I'm afraid DCHL Devin is wrong off the top of my head. I mean, I am feeling the need. Whenever I make a big call like this, where I challenge someone on the rules, I feel like I need to go and run and get my rule book. Because I'm not always the best on the rules. We all know this, but I do try. But I'm pretty sure that a character cannot pick up a banner. So I'm afraid DCHL Devin, you can't do that. And if somebody tried to do that to me in tournament, unless it's in the rule book that you can do that, but I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm sure you can't do that. So no. Anyway, thanks for your question, Pandemonium. We're going to move on. We've got Athlon39 again, and he's actually put another thing about this DCHL channel, which is good. The DCHL channel is very good. Thanks for telling us about it. I would recommend others to watch it. Certainly would. For my question, can models with spears support models with bigger bases than? Yes, they can. They never used to be able to. In the old rules, you could only support a model with the same base size as you, or smaller. But now you can support any base size. So that's right, you can get a Moria Goblin Spearman supporting a Cave Troll. There you go. Okay, so thanks for that, Akathon. Next up we've got Ross Diggle. He's put, can the Spider Queen be affected by Druzag's spells as she has the classification Giant Spider over Spider? Yes, as far as I'm aware, she can be. She is a spider. So, yep. And I've seen it being done loads of times, and no one's batted an eyelid about it, so I presume that there's no problem there. Thanks for that, Ross. Next up we've got Akathon39. I think you're right not wanting to worry Jane about Smaug. I'm glad that I'm getting all this validation from you guys, you know. Otherwise I just wouldn't know what to do. No, yeah, you would tell her when it's best suits you both. Good luck with that. Yeah, I will do. I will do. I'm looking forward to bringing it home. I want to put that box on my shelf. I really do. In other news, it's official. DOS 2015. Can you put me on the list? 100%, because it's all paid for. Yes, have done. I've done it. My last question is, do you and all the other GBHL hosts play as well? If so, have you ever thought about writing the scenarios to fit your forces a bit? Thanks for another week of great content and by the sounds of it, there's loads more to look forward to, so thanks, and look forward to it all. Yep, you've got tons of great content on the way, so keep an eye out, guys. Okay, so do we play as well? Well, your GBHL channel hosts, so there's 4 of us, it's a separate entity, so Jamie and I, you know, the Desolation of Stockport is our tournament that we do together. So Tom and Damien can play in it, but it's definitely not written. Why are you looking in my van? Why's that little chap looking in my van there? Don't worry, they've gone. Anyway, and they're definitely not written to advantage anybody. I mean, to be fair, the only real tournament where we've had custom scenarios will be this next one and the event that I did, and of course I couldn't play in that event and I wrote all the scenarios. But I mean, anybody who'd be sad enough to write scenarios that suited their army to play then in their own tournaments, they could win it, you know, really is not is not a cool person. So no, certainly never consider that. In terms of whether we'll have to play in this next one, it depends. If there's an odd number of people, then it's likely that I will be the ringer and Jamie will be the spreadsheet man. But when I've been a ringer before, you take fluffy stuff that you wouldn't normally take because you're not there to try and win. So 600 points. You know, what did I do? What did I do last time I had to be a ringer? I think I played with my 3 hunters. And before that I played with the fellowship. So no, I don't think that goes on at all. Anyhow, but you might get a chance to play me, depends if there's odd numbers. Okay, so next up we've got Harry Taylor's, but would it be accepted, legal, to have Azog leading 6 Hunter Orcs on Warg, Fimbul leading 6 Hunter Orcs on Warg, and a Mordor/Angmar warband as an ally, maybe including a Wraith or monsters? Yeah, perfectly legal. That follows the warband rules. You've got Azog can lead Hunter Wargs as part of that list, and Fimbul can lead Hunter Orcs as part of that list. And you can ally in warbands as long as you've got the correct leader with the correct troops from the correct book, an army list. Then yeah, of course you could do that. This list would be fun. I was wondering what you'd think would be good units to ally with Azog's Hunters. Ooh, well this would be a better question I think for GBHL Tom. Because GBHL Tom obviously has just won a tournament with an absolutely awful Hunter Orc list. Gundabad and Hunter Orc list. And it's awful. I saw it. I was like, that's absolutely terrible. But he won with it, so well done. What would you ally in? Okay, so what they're lacking? Well, I reckon you could do something easy like ally in Angmar, like an Angmar or a Mordor, where you've literally got an Orc Shaman, so you're giving the Hunter Orcs Fury. And then spear support, so cheap Orc spear support to support the 2 attack of the Hunter Orcs. That'd be quite good, although you've got everything mounted there, haven't you? So if you've got Hunter Orcs on Wargs, then it might be a good idea to get some mounted stuff in there. So if you're going to get a Wraith in, you could get a Wraith, get a Knight of Umbar in there, that'd be quite good. Anyway, I hope that helps. Let's move on. Okay, next up we've got Samuel Thompson. He's put Sam here from Canada. Hey Sam from Canada. Keeping in the loop. Here's my question for this week. Have any of you had to fight Gullivar, Terror of Arnor? Yes, I have. All my days. It's horrible. He's horrible. I don't like him very much at all. However, I did win that game. Charles Sims brought him, allied him into his Haradrim Watcher of Kana spam army at Stirling at 800 points. Luckily, it seized the prize, and although my army got completely demolished, Erkenbrand managed to keep hold of the prize and stay alive. Just, I think, another turn, Gullivar would have got him, and so would have ended my my campaign at that tournament. Yeah, he's pretty awful. My friend plays him in his Angmar list, and I just can't find a way to kill it. Knowing I play Lothlorien elves and sometimes allied with dwarves and eagles, what kind of Lothlorien list would I need to bring this beast down for good? I don't think Gullivar's particularly high defence, is he? So if you play Lothlorien, then you should have plenty of bows and stuff. Good idea. You could, just like with most big things, if you've got a couple of elven blades in there, that's going to be helpful. Rumil is a good one to have in there, because if Gullivar rolls a 6, he has to keep re-rolling it. You know, you get heroes in there, heroic striking, Rumil, a couple of elven blades as well, so that they can go two-handed, as long as you've got enough dice elsewhere to sort of guarantee the fight, of course. Just doing that so you can try and kill him. But that should help a little bit. And James, for your smell problem, you should, I'm not going to tell you to, come forwards and tell Jane, but ask the guys to pitch in some money so it could be a wedding present from the GBHL community. Just an idea. I don't think the way that wedding presents work, mind you, when you do wedding presents, you do come up with like a gift list, don't you? I could have like a geek gift list for all of my geek buddies out there and say, right, okay, I've already bought Smaug, so it saves you doing that, but if you'll contribute. No, I wouldn't ask that. Literally all I would like from the guys that I know from the Hobbit community is to make the effort to come up and see us at the ceremony, if of course you want to have a day in York. It's be nice to see everyone there. So yeah, and yes, I know that really I should tell Jane, but I've not lied to her. I've not told her I've not got it. I've just not told her I've got it. And trust me, you know, our boiler's just gone. Jane needs the wheel bearings in her car sorted out. We're getting invoices coming through for the wedding and stuff right now. I think if I turn around to her and said, yeah, I spent over 200 quid on Smaug, and you know, recently just bought this and bought this, you know, I don't spend money on anything else really apart from remodels and house and stuff like that. So I will tell her, don't you worry about it guys, it'll all be okay. She's lovely, Jane. You put, thanks for all the hard work you put into this, and as long as you do, I will keep supporting my Hobbit hobby. Well, thank you very much, Sam. Thank you very much. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Next up, we've got Jeremy Smith, the American Eagle himself. He's put, thank you for your honest answers last week. James, if Jamie is not there, I hope you have Dave back. He was very likeable and seems very knowledgeable. He seems very knowledgeable. No, he's very likeable. He's very likeable. I'll agree with you on that one. 2. When you were in service, what was your rank? Is a return salute in order? Definitely not. I was a Kingsman, which is effectively, you know, your base rank, the private. But my regiment comes from the King's Regiment, and when you're in the Kings, you get called a Kingsman instead of a private. So I was Kingsman Clark, 25203970. So no saluting me. And you put SBG question: when war gear is placed on the battlefield, mirror, palantir, fire pit, does it count as terrain or is it impassable? Well, I guess it's just an impassable thing, isn't it? I imagine. I don't think you can just go over it. I think you've got to go round it. You know, I don't think there's any kind of classification of what it is. It just becomes something which is in the way. So you can't. It's not like to go through it. You would be like, all right, I'm going to do half movement through. Because you don't have to move in straight lines in the skirmish game. You can go around it and stuff. So I don't think that would ever come up. Went to my first tournament yesterday and took second. Well done, Jeremy Smith. Well done, Jeremy Smith. That's clearly because you're a friend of ours, isn't it? You know that you've done that well. Ari Smaug, just walk in the house with a box under your arm. Don't let her run. Just put your arms around her. Tell her you love her, and we'll be okay. Do it after Disney, but before the wedding. That's all. Did you see what he did there? I did. That's all for this week. Third stage of Smith signing off. Salutes as required. P.S. James, my wife thinks you have a cold and sends her blessings to get well soon. Hey, well, your wife is very perceptive. I have. Seriously, since I got ill at the tail end of last year, which of course you'll remember I still filmed content over that time, and that's when I was painting my 300s and stuff. Like, I've been more ill since then, in this last 4 months, than I have in the 6, 7, 8 years combined, put together, just in this little bit of time. I think nearly every other week I'm feeling a bit run down, you know. So I ever since I got ill, I've been giving myself more time off, looking after myself a bit more in that sense, you know. I'm fit and I eat really well most of the time. But yeah, every couple of weeks I seem to, you know, I've just been getting over a really, really bad like series of headaches and coughing and stuff, and I've got no idea what it is. In fact, I'm going to try and get a doctor's appointment next week. Not because I still feel like really, really, really bad. And I feel a bit bad for going in, but just get my bloods taken and make sure there's no big problems or anything, because, it's not very me to be run down. So yeah, your wife is very perceptive. Oh, next up we've got Harry Taylor. He's put, and how many attacks does Azog mounted get on the charge? Taking into account he has a lance, the white warg, and his 3 attacks, would this add up to 6 attacks? No, that's not how it works. So what you do when you have cavalry, so when the mount has an attack value and the rider has an attack value, you get to choose which stats you want from each at any, during the combats. So for example, if the white warg has 3 attacks, then you could choose that. You don't add them up, if you know what I mean. But Azog's got 3 attacks, so actually I think what you do is, and he charges in, it gets +1, not for the lance, for charging. So he would get 4 attacks. But what the lance does, the lance means that it's -1 to wound. So once you have won the combat, if you do win the combat, if you would have needed 6s on the chart, you'll need 5s instead and stuff. So yeah, I hope that helps. I hope my answer was clear. Okay, so next up we've got Ian Marley. He's put, forgot to say, myself and Sean had a cracking laugh when we came to visit. Cheers for the company and the games. Yeah, it was really good to have you both down here and show you how it's done. Okay, so but my question for this week is, would you ever consider swapping shows? James and Jamie do the Palantir for an episode, and Tom and Damien doing Speak, Friend and Question. I for one think it would be interesting, as questions and discussion topics could be repeated and you get different takes on them, as it might become harder and harder to think of original questions and discussion topics. Why lie? I personally don't think that will happen in terms of a swapping show. So, and I'll go through a couple of the reasons for that. I think the first reason is that Tom and Damien will always be infinitely better, I think, at doing that kind of discussion show than Jamie and I will be. So you've got to remember that, like, one of the big reasons of me being here, when me and Jamie are filming together, is that, of course, Jamie's got a lot of knowledge, really nice guy, and everything, but, I will host, I will get that out of him, and that's what creates the content, you know what I mean? So I'll ask the questions, I'll come at it from the new person's point of view and everything, and he'll have the experienced head on. But in terms of sort of just being able to talk, I mean, it's hard getting Jamie to talk in Speak, Friend and Question, let alone in like a discussion show where there's a couple of topics. I think Jamie's a guest in one, in a Palantir. And I think that works quite well, having guests. But I think a show having its own host is a good thing. And when I called Damien, when we were really thinking of actually bringing him into the team to do that regular slot. I know he's helping us with roving reports and everything. But it was kind of like, I think that it'd be really good if we could get him in to do like a show, just one show a week, because he does have so much wargaming knowledge, and he really is, he really does aspire to be the king of the nerds, in that sense, in terms of his knowledge, and he will scour out what the latest movie news is and stuff like that, whereas Jamie and I aren't really like that, so I'm not sure it would work. And likewise, I think like with Speak, Friend and Question with them, it's not that they wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think. I just think it would be, because we're used to the Palantir, I think it'd be very hard for them to rein it in and for it to be a shorter show. So, and that's rich coming from me, because I know that I can waffle on. I mean, we're on 43 minutes now? I'm over halfway through, I'm well over halfway through. But like they can make 3 topics last an hour and a half, and these are from like 1 or 2 comments from their thing, not from 40, 50, 60 questions. So, but having guests inside, I'd love to do a Speak, Friend and Question, have Damien next to me, or do a Speak, Friend and Question, have Tom, or I think I've done one with Damien. I think I've done a Speak, Friend and Question with Damien, actually. And I think it'd be good to have like me or Jamie as guests on the Palantir. I've never been a guest on the Palantir. I tried, but you know, you all saw what happened there. So, okay. So next up we've got Al Wood. Who's coming to Desolation of Stockport 2015. I hope you're all getting excited for that. Not long now, a month away. Al Wood, my new question for this week is another for Gondor. I have started creating an Ithilien Thors, so all my Gondor warriors, rangers and heroes are woodland creatures. But after you've taken Faramir, Madril, Damrod, there are no longer any Gondor heroes with woodland creature. How would you expand this army? I wanted to perhaps add Dunedain or Rangers of the North, but they don't get woodland creature, which is odd. Thanks, as always, for taking the time to create the great content, Al. One way that you could do it is Aragorn Isildur's heir. Aragorn Isildur's heir grants woodland creature to Legolas, Gimli, and any warriors of Arnor, warriors or rangers of Arnor within 6 inches of him, I believe, or 3 inches or 6 inches of him. So that's a way of maybe bringing woodland creature in for a Gondor, to sort of expand on it. But that's probably, you know, having your 3 warbands there, Faramir, Madril, Damrod, that's probably about as far as you're going to get with the sort of woodland creature side of it. Yeah, unless you're willing to sacrifice the fact that one of your leaders won't have it. So yeah. Sorry, can't help any more on that one, Al, but look forward to seeing you soon. So next up we've got David Whittaker, and he put, totally think keeping your big toy dragon out of the way is a good idea. It's harmless where it is and no need to cause fuss. This is what I think. And when we do tell her, just pretend it was in a run GW did after the honeymoon. My girlfriend and her family are very similar, and I sometimes admit the truth when it comes to the cost of the hobby. David Whittaker, you've nailed it there, pal. It's not lying, it's omitting the truth. Not admitting, omitting. Omitting the truth. We're not lying. We don't go there and go, you know, says, well, how much is that? And you say, Smaug was £10. It's not that, it's just you don't tell you got Smaug in the first place. It's not lying, it's not being deceitful, it's just not involving her in my hobby. So yeah, no, I'm with you there, buddy. Thank you very much for the moral support, David. Next up we've got 19, Mark F91. Hey guys, in To the Death score, you score 1 VP for every successful wound caused to the leader, and 3 VPs if you kill them. Say you miraculously managed to cause 19 wounds on Smaug. Let's say you miraculously managed to cause 19 wounds on Smaug. It's more beneficial for you to stop fighting him, as when the scenario ends you gain 19 VPs rather than 3 VPs if you manage to kill him. I'm presuming this is correct, so it's not really a question, but a weird thought that just occurred to me. Thanks guys, happy strategy battle gaming. Now unfortunately, pal, you've got it slightly wrong. Okay, so if in the Smaug army, Smaug is the leader, okay, and into the death, what you get is you get 1 VP if you manage to cause a wound on the leader. That's not for each wound, that's a wound. You know, if you cause 2 wounds, you still got that 1 VP. If you kill it, that 1 VP becomes 3 VPs. The only bit where you're going to sort of rack up for the wounds that you've got there is in Lords of Battle. So in Lords of Battle, if you cause 19 wounds, then you get 19 VPs. Okay, so I hope that helps. Next up we've got Rob Mycock. Hi guys, thanks for answering my question last week. My question this week is, what advice would you give to a new tournament host? I'm hosting a small tournament in a couple of weeks and want to ensure that it's a great success, so advice would be much appreciated. Yeah, be a great host. Don't try and be, you know, have a structure, but try and make sure that your structure is not too rigid. I think when you do an event, and this is any kind of events management, I think that making something too rigid actually makes it brittle. You have to be able to, you know, move with what's going on and just be kind of relaxed and just try and make sure everyone's having a good time. You know, that's the most important thing. I think that bit can be lost sight of sometimes. You know, people aren't there to just pure. I mean, some people are, but the way that I see it is it's a hobby, isn't it? So people are there to have a good time. Ultimately, that's the thing, isn't it? Everyone ultimately, even if they're there to be competitive, ultimately are there to have a good time and to enjoy themselves. So just make sure that everyone enjoys themselves. You know, make sure you have had a good think beforehand about how the day's going to run, and you know, and just make sure everyone's got a good cup of tea whenever they need one and stuff. You know, these kind of things are the most important stuff. Maybe try and get a bit of a social, go for a drink afterwards, and all that kind of thing, really. Okay, so next up we've got Joel Stuckies. But hello, GBHL hosts. Are you putting a time limit on Speak Friend and Question this week? I'm going to aim to do it in an hour. That would be perfect. My question is about Grimhammers. I found a lot of negative comments when the stat line became available for these guys. Yep, I know what you mean. To the point where Army of Thor lists are just warriors of Erebor and heroes. Yeah, pretty much. The Army of Thor list is pretty limited in variety, and I want to make use of the Grimhammers and their special abilities. Do you ever find a way to make them viable or useful? Thanks for daily content, cheers. Yeah, I mean, the main reason that why Grimhammers get negative comments is because for their point, if you compare them in points to other things that cost the same, so if you compare them to a Khazad Guard, who are also 11 points, a Khazad Guard is significantly better. But if you take them on their own in that list, okay, I think you have to, you don't put many in there really, and you maybe try and put them a couple sort of around the flanks and use them, or just behind the flank on each part of the battle line. And what you do is you send those guys in, you know, when you're doing your counter charges. I mean, they do have throwing weapons. They do have throwing weapons, I suppose. I mean, I know what you mean. They're lovely models, and that's why you see so many people converting them into being warriors of Erebor, so giving them shield and spear instead of the hammer. I mean, they've got the pick hammer, haven't they? So they can piercing strike. They're only they're defense 6, which is low for a dwarf. So, you know, doing it isn't too bad. I mean, I think it's a good way of sort of chucking them in to take down bigger stuff. Really, you know, chuck them in when you're taking on heroes and things and piercing striking with them, because they're going to be helpful in kind of in doing the killing part, you know, when you're surrounding and trapping. But I wouldn't say using them as like a lion troop is a particularly great idea, because they're just too expensive for what you're getting. Strength 3 and defense 6, 5. You know, it's just not good enough for a dwarf really. Well, a dwarf that costs 11 points. So yeah, that's what I would say probably. Just a couple as a smattering, and just use them to try and kill big stuff with other things. Don't just chuck them in on their own. Okay, good luck with that. Anyway, let us know how that goes. Next up we've got Brandon Cooper, the Xbox Underdog. He's put, thanks for answering my question last week. My question this week is, if there was one model that is now out of production and you could bring back to production, what would it be? Thanks as always for the great content. One model that is out of production that I would bring back to production. Definitely not a Shade. Gildor was nice, wasn't he? Gildor was nice, and he's out of production. The Grey Company blisters. Forlong and Angbor. Forlong and Angbor is a good shout, I think. Yeah, let's go for that one, because I need another Forlong. If anybody wants to send me a Forlong, I need one for my mounted version of him. Okay, next up we've got the Mouth of Sauron. This is my first time commenting on Speak Friend and Question. Well, you know what you need to do, pal. If you have commented on Speak Friend and Question for the first time and we answer your question, which I am about to do, that does mean that you are stuck in an infinite loop, which goes round and round and round, which means that every single week you must ask us a question. So get yourself on that, buddy. You put... have you ever thought about custom painting your units, creating a backstory for your army's heroes? Gander. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like when you got like unnamed heroes, and I mean we do. In terms of custom painting our units, do that anyway. Like I pick a theme for how I want to paint things. I don't always paint them exactly how Games Workshop wants them painted. But I think the thing that we've got is that because the models are based on the movies and it's a very character orientated game, I think so. You know, I know a lot of people like doing things with unnamed stuff. Because that makes it more wargamey, I suppose. It make, you know, rather than feel like you're playing for a story. But I'm personally one of those that I like using Aragorn, I like using Legolas, you know, because of the story that's already there for them. But things like battle companies are good for that, and you know, I'm going to do a narrative campaign at some point for the Rohan, which should be really good. So keep an eye out for that. I've been saying I'm going to be doing that for about a year now, and I've still not got around to it. But I do have an Uruk-hai army now, so it could happen soon. Okay, so yeah, I have thought we do things like that, you know, but it's not a priority. Okay, we've got Zarfai Engel, but alright, late again, but it worked last time, so I hope it'll work this time. My question this week is, would you play a scenario with first age elves on one side and several Balrogs on the other? Do you think the Balrog would stand a chance against the might of the great elven heroes of that time, at least the ones we have profiles for? Well, the Balrog's tough to take down, but I think if you got the Balrog's what, 400 points. It's his lack of might. It's his lack of might. The elves have got elven blades, so even though he is fight 10, they'll go up to 10 with their mights. Use an elven blade. Yeah. No, I don't think the Balrog would win against the elven heroes or the elves. But thanks very much for your questions, Zarfai Engel. Next up we've got J22. J22 has put, hi guys, firstly Dave did a good job filling in the last episode. I wonder who the special guest would be this week. Special guest this week is my onesie. That's right. I hope your eyes recover. I was so anti onesie as well. Like I hate it when you see people on telly wearing a onesie, or like if you live somewhere like I do, walking past the house in their onesie pajamas. Okay, and I think my auntie got this for me for Christmas. I was like, oh no, you know, yeah, I'll wear it. And I tell you what, it's so warm. It's so warm wearing an adult baby robe. Because that's effectively what it is, an adult baby robe. You put, my question this week is, what is the most effective way of using Sauron the Necromancer if I don't want to use him in a Mordor list with the Mordor troops? Once again, thanks for the great content. An effective way of using Sauron the Necromancer. Well, and you don't want to use him as part of a Mordor list, but you want to use him as part of another list. I believe that Jamie chucked him in with Nomai Angmar, and apparently he made it work. Apparently that worked really, really, really well. So, I'm sorry I can't go into much more detail about that. I don't know enough about the Necromancer. I've never played against him, and I've never had him, and I only opened my actual Sauron not that long ago. So, okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Well, we've got quite a few questions. Under an hour's not going to happen, is it? We've got Tom Turtle. Put, I reckon Steve could have won that back rep if he had used Thranduil more aggressively from the start. Ace video though. So this is Tom referring to a battle report. Yeah, I mean I have to say that's one observation playing Steve over a number of years, is that as much as he's improved in so many different areas, you know, I mean we're all improving all the time. One thing that Steve isn't is he is never aggressive enough with his heroes. He always tries to protect his heroes rather than really using them, I find, from the games that I've played against him. But hate to be the what do you think of the army guy, well, you being him, but I've been theorising all mounted Harad list lately. I think this one comes to 500 points. Any good? 2 lower numbers, either Betrayer or Knight of Umbar and Fellbeast. 8 Harad riders, Suladan on Horse, 2 Serpent Riders, 8 Haradrim Raiders. What's that? 10, 19. No, 500 points. That's all right. Yes, not too bad. I'd go for the Knight of Umbar rather than the Betrayer. on the Fell Beast. But yeah, but also you fellas seen The Walking Dead, been binge watching it lately, and it's a pretty fun show. I haven't. If you know me, you know I don't watch too much TV. But Jamie does watch like Netflix and TV and series and stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me if Jamie had seen Walking Dead. Okay, next up we got Quinn Duggan. Still a bit stuck on the 600 point army, but I have the basics. Undying on Fell Beast, 5 Morannons with shield, 5 with shield and spear, Orc Shaman with the same, Taskmaster with the same, and 1 banner in there somewhere. That's 40 points left. What do I do with those points? How do I play this army at DOS 2015? Well, you don't play against me, because whenever you play me, you seem to win, and we don't like that very much, Quinn. 40 points left, 40 points, 40 points, 40 points. Undying on Fell Beast. You could upgrade your Fell Beast to a different kind of Fell Beast, I suppose. And how do you play it? Well, it just depends on what scenario, really. Jamie and I will do like a pre-tournament sort of video to run you through the scenarios and the events pack and everything, but yeah, it really depends on the scenario in terms of how you play. But it looks solid. Morannons are solid. They're solid, and you get a lot of them. You know, they do quite well for what you're getting. So, okay, next up we've got Lonely Cube 1. He's put, thanks. I'm not even going to guess who's reading this now, so to whom it may concern. Well, do you know what? I mean, if you're going to hedge your bets, on anybody reading any questions, it should be me, because I'm here all of the time. You put, my question for each of you this week is, what is your favourite army for fluff, models and profiles from the Hobbit releases? It seems to me that most people's favourite armies are the older ones, which is unfortunate because a lot of them are harder to collect now than the newer minis. Hopefully I'm not too late this week. Well, no, I'm actually doing this on Sunday. I've just got back from my christening, so this won't be going up until reasonably late tonight. So favourite army from the Hobbit releases, Rivendell Knights. I know it's not really an army, but Rivendell Knights are really cool and good and effective, and I think I might be taking Rivendell Knight armies next year. As much as I love my Rohan, with the style of play that I use, Rivendell Knights would be pretty good, I think, because yes, they're 22 points each with the shield, but you know, Sons of Ale are 22 points, and then I've got to take the riders to get the bowfire that I need to do the skirmishy side of it, which makes the whole thing work, whereas the Rivendell Knights can do it in one go, really. So yeah, I do like Rivendell Knights army. I like the look of Goblin Town. I love seeing a Goblin Town army. It's quite cool to play against. Lake Town are quite cool to play against. The new Mirkwood stuff's really cool. I really like the new Thranduil, and the new Mirkwood Armadillos are good. I think the Grimhammers and the Warriors of Erebor are some of the best plastic, and the Warriors of Dale are some of the best plastic stuff. The Eagles, I've got an Eagle army. Do you know what? I just love it all. It's very hard to pick a favourite. Yes, a lot of people's favourite army is from Lord of the Rings. A lot of people, not everybody's. But that doesn't mean that the new stuff isn't cool, because it is. Okay, Camille Domansky. Just going to say this, pal. Come on, United. That's right, for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, Camille Domansky is a big Liverpool fan, along with Jamie Giblin, and Manchester United, the greatest football team in the whole universe. We've not been playing very well for a couple of seasons. Did beat them, so. But sorry, no question this week. Check in, and as always, you'll never walk alone. No comment about last Sunday, please, James. I got there first. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you at the tournament, Camille Domansky. Looks like we're going to have another record breaker at Desolation of Stockport 2015. If you've not got your tickets, guys, get on it, because I think at the moment we're probably going to get over 50, which is good. Next up, we've got Kurt Leach. He's put, hey guys, sorry I haven't been commenting for a while. I was going to say, where you been, pal? Woo. Glad you're alive. I have 2 questions that will hopefully make up for it. Can you compel or command someone out of a combat? And when you call a heroic accuracy, can you re-roll when shooting into a fight? and shooting at a cavalry model? Thanks. Okay, so I'll start off with the first question. Can you compel or command someone out of a combat? No. No. Not as far as I'm aware. No. I think you can compel a supporting model, like a spear support, but I don't think you can compel a model out of combat. And heroic accuracy. Well, heroic accuracy allows you to re-roll all failed in one failed in the way roll. And if you're an evil model shooting into a fight, and you've got the see, the cavalry one's easier because cavalry counts as an in the way. It's a type of in the way roll. So I think, yeah, you can re-roll. I think you can re-roll there. And when seeing who you hit when you're firing into a combat, I would think so too. But if I'm wrong, someone let me know. I haven't got my rulebook here. I'm just working off what I've seen in the past. Okay, so next up we've got Sackpot10. He's put, hi guys, my question this week is, do you think Azog should have been in the Hobbit even though he wasn't in the book? Thanks, guys. No, I don't think you needed it. I don't think he needed to be there. I think you could have got away with just having one Bolg from the start, because of course Azog is killed at the Battle of Anzur, blah 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 blah. So no, I think that you could. I think that you could get away with just having Bolg all the way through, but use Azog's aesthetic, and just do that all the way through, and make him your bad guy, all the way. You didn't need to. They didn't need to split the whole thing off. Not at all. Not at all. I don't know why they did that. They did that. You know. They did that so you've still got the orcs going into Lake Town, and then you've got the whole Legolas thing. It gives Legolas and Tariel a antagonist, as it were, but I don't think it was needed. No. So no, I agree with you. Okay, next up we've got Rainier Lee. But I have a question about a Rivendell army. Do they have a bow limit? Because the Rivendell Knights all have bows, and I wanted to create an all-mounted army. It's a good thing to do. But did not know if they had a limit. Thank you. No. Rivendell Knights, the troop, do not count towards an army's bow limit. Because they're the only troop in their list, technically, they don't have a bow limit. So no. Okay, next up we've got Ryan Shady Shaw. But hey, thanks for answering last week's question. And James, I would get into the game as a hobby, but my interests are occupied, unfortunately, so maybe sometime in the future. I'd love to come to Desolation of Stockport, but will be pointless due to me not having an army. Which brings me on to my question. If I was to get into the game, would the Army of the Dead be a good first-time army? Thanks, Ryan. Well, listen, what I think... right, okay, so the question is it a good beginner's army? I would say not necessarily a good beginner's army. I don't think it's forgiving, and it does have special rules. So I would say no. Low fight value, a special rule for when you're striking. Yes, they've got higher defense and stuff. But no, I wouldn't say that. But if that is what you want to go for, you should go for it, pal, if you think it's going to be forgiving or not. Now, in terms of you would want to come to Desolation of Stockport, but you're not going to because you don't have an army. If you want to borrow an army, there's absolutely no reason why you couldn't do that, as long as you took care of the stuff. So if you want to borrow an army, let me know, Ryan Shady Shaw, and we'll sort something out for you. Okay. Next up, and a final question, and oh my days, of 1 hour and 10 minutes. Brilliant stuff. Unless this next question goes on for another half an hour, we've done quite well. It's the Saraseo, or Saraseo. Hey guys, how are you doing? Doing well, thank you. Great content as always. My question this week is, can you explain Catch the Pigeon and Warganation to me? I've seen the tournament reviews by Damien Tom and it sounds like fun. I'm just not sure how to play those systems. Oh, as in those scenarios, yeah. Thanks in advance. I can't explain Catch the Pigeon because I didn't go to that tournament. This is custom scenario. Warganation. I played 2 versions of Warganation. So these are done by the Mid Sussex Wargamers event down at East Grinstead. These 2 custom scenarios. And the Warganation involved you roll in to see, I can't remember, you roll to see how many wargs come on from different points, and you get points for the wargs that you kill, and the roll determines which board edge they come off, and the person, I can't remember if the person with priority puts them on. I think the best thing for you to do, and rather than me sort of try and fumble through it exactly how to play the game, is to get yourself onto the Great British Hobbit League Facebook page if you are on Facebook, and put the question there, or if you check out the events tab and look for Mid Sussex Wargamers event, then you then they might have the rules pack in there which will have the actual scenario sheet, so you can check that out as well. So yeah, that does bring us to the end of Speak Friend and Question. I hope you don't mind it being myself again this week. Obviously it was nice having some special guests, but I did think me and Jamie would get together this week and do it, but we obviously didn't. Hopefully we'll have someone next week, whether it's Jamie or someone else. Who knows, who knows. Make sure, as always guys, that you are going to be commenting your questions below before Thursday, and usually before 1 PM on Thursday, because that would normally be the cut-off point. Of course, there are a few of you who've been very lucky to get in this. Wow, loads of you have been very lucky to get in this. In fact, I would have probably finished this video about half an hour ago if we'd have filmed this on Thursday. So if you want your questions answering, it needs to be in the comments of this video to be answered for next Thursday. Okie dokie. So guys, don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. Support your Hobbit hobby. Follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. And as ever team, happy strategy battle gaming.